For more on Pope Francis's legacy and the path forward in choosing the next pontiff, let's speak now with Dr. Ruben Mendoza, professor with the Department of Theology at the Ateneo de Manila University. Dr. Mendoza, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Pope Francis, clearly special, will be remembered in particular for his humility and compassion, but also more recently, two things: his daily calls to a parish in Gaza and his trip to Asia last year against his doctor's orders as well. So tell us a bit more about his stewardship, and also, I guess, the timing of his death on Easter Monday, which I know many Catholics don't see as coincidental.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. Of course, with regard to the second point that you made, I think it's only apropos that he passed away on Easter Monday, which is, of course, the Easter, as you know, is the most important liturgical time in the Catholic Church and all over Christian churches. So it would seem that he only wanted to do his last Easter services, Paschal Triduum services, and then he has gone home to the Father. Then, with regard to his other concerns, particularly his last address, which was read for him, I think it is only fitting that he is concerned with issues of conflict all over the world, particularly in Gaza and other parts of Africa. If you still remember, in one of his emphasis would be on the church, his idea of the church as a field hospital, meaning that the church must always be there where people are, particularly where vulnerable people are affected. So in those places of conflict, there are many people who are traumatized, many people injured and even killed. So the church must always be with them and call for peace in those places.
And Professor, Pope Francis didn't shy away from politics. He challenged capitalism. He's first to journey to a war zone, call for action of climate change, and even confronted Trump. I mean, how did his political voice redefine the role of the papacy in the 21st century?
I think one of the things that Pope Francis saw was his conviction that the church should be involved in matters of politics. Why? Because politics do affect the way that people live. They affect the way people experience their human dignity. So he was very strong in his criticism of neoliberalism and the kind of politics that is being exercised in many parts of the world, particularly populist politics, which has resulted to the marginalization of so many peoples, particularly migrants, those who are poor, those who have nothing in life. So his voice was indeed important in trying to influence political leaders to do the proper thing, to make sure that the downtrodden, those who are ordinarily not able to give their voice to society, will be heard, and that their interests will be taken into account in policy making in particular.
And Professor, he wasn't without controversy as well. The Pope was often described as open-minded and merciful, but his attempts to open up difficult conversations like divorce or LGBTQ plus inclusion, women's roles, often drew fire from both conservatives and progressives. How did he navigate such tensions and pushback from within?
Yeah, I think that it's really hard, on the part of the Pope to navigate between the left and the right, ideologically on the side of the church and even in society. The Pope didn't really change the teachings of the Catholic Church, but what he did was to have a more pastoral approach, a more compassionate and more inclusive approach with regard to those communities, particularly the LGBTQIA plus community, which historically has been marginalized in the Catholic Church. So I think that what he did was a positive step forward in reaching out to that community and being able to listen to the community. Do remember that one of the things that the Pope emphasizes is for the church to be truly synodal. And that would mean that the church should listen to the voices of different peoples, even to those voices which it wouldn't ordinarily agree with. And that would include the voices of those who belong to the LGBTQI plus community. So what the Pope has done in the past is actually a way of listening to the voices of those people, members of that community who have often been marginalized in the church. Of course, the more conservative sectors of the Catholic Church did not like what the Pope was doing, and they would have liked the Pope to be stronger in his emphasis in terms of the doctrines of the Church with respect to that community. But I do think that the Pope was right in trying to reach out to those people and becoming more inclusive, in being more compassionate in his approach over them.
Right. Dr. Mendoza, I'm very mindful that we are in a mourning period right now, but as attention turns to choosing rather a new pope in the next few weeks, has Pope Francis set in motion the reforms you just talked about that are going to be hard to turn back? Do you have any indications where cardinals stand right now? Are they going to be reform-minded, or do they prefer a return to tradition?
The majority of the cardinals, the elector cardinals, have been appointed by Pope Francis. And for the vast majority of them, I think they are of the same mind. They want to reform the church to make it more relevant and meaningful for people of today's world. But whether or not they will choose somebody who is of the same mind as the late Pope, we really don't know. There have been many favorites in the past on persons who would become Pope, but that didn't materialize. So it's really hard to predict who the next Pope will be.
All right, Dr. Mendoza, thank you very much for your time this morning. That was Dr. Ruben Mendoza, Professor, Department of Theology, Ateneo de Manila University. Thank you.